Alexander, and I am a paranormal investigator with Michigan Paranormal Encounters. And basically what we do is study and research paranormal activity. And in the course of what we do, we come across some very reportedly haunted locations. And the old jail museum here in Allegan is definitely one of the more active locations that we've been to as a group. This is the old jail museum that served as home to the sheriff and his family, and because of the way Michigan law was written, the sheriff and his family had to live on the premises with the jail. So this is the residential portion of the jail, and this would have been the front parlor that the sheriff and his family used. We believe that a lot of these things maybe have some spirit energy attached to them, because we believe that it isn't just houses that are haunted, but things can be haunted as well. There's no question that this building is very paranormally active. And do you want to go upstairs? The stairway also seems to be really active. We had Kelly McLeod in here earlier, and she's really an internationally known psychic medium and very in tune with spirit. And she was coming up the stairs this morning and said that there was a woman standing on the stairs that told her, "Shh, the baby's sleeping," because I guess we were making too much noise. They use a lot of mannequins here in the jail museum to showcase the different articles of clothing that they have in their collection. And they had a female mannequin at one time here in this upstairs room. And the director of the museum had dressed the mannequin, changed her clothing at the end of the day, and then left the museum, locked up, went home. And the next morning when she came back, the mannequin was wearing an entirely different dress. And this is actually the dress that was on the mannequin the next day. And it even has a coat that goes with it. And so the coat and the dress were on the mannequin. And she was very disconcerted by that, because no one was in the museum between when she locked up that night and the next morning. That's another example of the hair art that was done like back Civil War times. But with this one in particular, if you look really closely, it's like there are must have been 5 different women that contributed their hair to that. And they actually at the time would make, during Civil War times, when either a spouse or a child or whoever in the family was killed in battle, they would take the person's hair, a sample of it, and they would use the same techniques that they use in this particular, and they would make like mourning jewelry and brooches and things, and the women would wear them. And there's one particular mannequin that, things don't usually creep me out much. I think I'm hard to creep out at this point, but, and this is another interesting thing, this particular closet, it's not just closed, it has a chair wedged under it. And it makes perfect sense to me because the little mannequin is very creepy, and this is where they keep her. That's her little creepy mannequin, and she's kept in this closet now, and with the chair under the door. So I don't question it. I just close the door and put the chair back under it. So this is the basement level, and this is where the prisoners did their laundry. You can see that in here. Apparently they were responsible for doing their own laundry. They have basically the 3 levels of the cell blocks, and they would keep, of course, the women and the men segregated, and then they had the solitary cells and the sweat box upstairs, which would be a form of punishment for the prisoners. And, like, it would be like the hole, kind of, it was worse than solitary. This is the one room where I was running a night shot IR camera and got a moving light in there. There was no source to it. It was just there, and it disappeared, like, beginning to end, like 3 seconds. And it was very, very, very interesting. This used to be padded because I guess the prisoners would throw themselves against it. The padding is all gone now, but yeah, that's the sweat box. This was the solitary confinement cell. And if you look, there's just a lot of the original graffiti still on the walls. They haven't done anything This is a room where investigators in the group have actually been touched, you know, and I think there are only 2 areas in the building where anybody has experienced that, and this is definitely one of the ones.
You know the room upstairs that has all of the helmets and stuff?
The war room.
Oh my God, I cannot even.
I can't either.
I went in earlier and I was like, oh, it's just gross. I don't like old stuff, but I almost could not contain, like I almost just like totally threw up on myself.
That's so interesting. Now they have the old helmets,
all
of the stuff that was...
is it's cranky energy.
Yes.
It's like, wow, I can't, no.
I walked into that room one time and there's an old uniform that was sitting there, and there was nothing in the middle of the room at the time, and the hat from the uniform was in the middle of the room. So I went over, I picked it up, put it back on the form, and I bumped it, I hit it. I was trying to figure out if that hat could have ended up right where it looked like it had been placed there. And there was no way that I could recreate that. So I asked the director, I came down and said, she said that was Sheriff Runkle's Navy uniform, and he's the one whose wife was so busy and active in the kitchen area. So this is the room that we also have quite a bit of activity in. It just, the energy never feels great. It's powerful, and so I do think that hat was kind of there. This German helmet with that spike on top, that just looks... Yeah, it is, isn't it? And this is a lot of the original furnishings. Not a terribly cheerful place. I have to say that this building, almost without fail, has always managed. Something always happens here. It really is very active. And as paranormal investigators, we have all the fancy bells and whistles and equipment and everything. But usually what a lot of that equipment reacts to is energy. And basically that's what we believe that spirits are, is they're just energy.